Welcome to my 2025-26 preseason NCAA tournament projections. We're going to reveal the bracket in a moment. First, my player of the year pick is Zuby Ejiofor. A lot of people picking Braden Smith, but this award has tended towards big men the last few years, so I'm going to go with the St. John's big man. And then starting in our East Regional, you see we've got Duke as the overall 1 seed. I think they're going to trounce the ACC again this year, and hard to see any other teams taking that overall 1 seed from them. I think San Diego State bounces back in a big way, give them the 5 seed. I've got St. John's as the 2 and Alabama as the 3. Moving on to our South Regional, we've got Houston as our second overall 1 seed. I think they win the Big 12 for a third straight year. Auburn, I think, takes a step back under a new coach. I see BYU as a 5 seed here. Illinois is the 4. We've got Oregon as a 3 seed. I'm a little bit higher on them than a lot of people, but Shellstad and Biddle are a great duo. And then our 2 seed will be Florida, the defending champ, slot in here as the 2. Moving on to the Midwest Regional, we've got UConn as our third 1 seed, top team in the Big East this year, I'm expecting. UCLA as a 5, we've got Texas Tech as the 4, Louisville as a 3, and then we've got Tennessee as our 2. Hard to bet against Rick Barnes. And then finally, the West Regional, we've got Purdue as our final 1 seed, and then we've got Gonzaga as the 4, Michigan will be the 3, and Kentucky will be the 2, so those are our picks down there in the West. Our first 4 out will be Notre Dame, Memphis, Cincinnati, and Kansas State. So those are the first 4 teams that did not make the tournament. One thing to note is actually back in May, I made a list of the 10 teams I thought could win the tournament this year. This is after the transfer portal had slowed down quite a bit. And those teams were Houston, UConn, Purdue, Florida, Oregon, BYU, Iowa State, UCLA, Michigan State, and Arizona. There are a couple things I might change on the list now after a few months of the offseason, but what I was aiming for with that list was to look for the teams with some returning experience. I think that's what a lot of people are missing when they are picking teams like Michigan or Texas Tech or St. John's or Kentucky. It's hard to win the championship without those returning players. Pretty much all of the recent NCAA champions had at least 3 returning starters, or maybe they had 2 starters and a 6th man who stepped right up into the starting lineup. I just don't see some of these teams that they only have 1 returning starter, and then it's all brand new transfers winning it this year. So let's actually start revealing the bracket. I've got Duke to the Sweet 16, but no farther, as San Diego State bounces back in a big way and shocks Duke to advance to the Elite 8, but it's Bama who gets to the Final 4 out of the East. Moving to the South, Houston gets to the Elite 8, but can't complete the North Carolina redemption arc and win a championship after being the runner-up, as it will be Oregon emerging out of the South as the Final 4 team. Chattanooga is a 12-5 upset in the South region. Then we've got UConn coming out of the Midwest. I have Kansas making it back to an Elite 8. UCLA is a Sweet 16 team as well as Tennessee. And then our big upset pick will be McNeese, a 14 seed, taking down Louisville, a 3 seed. And then finally in our West Regional, we've got Purdue as the Final 4 team. They've had success the last couple of years. Last year, narrowly losing a Sweet 16 game to eventual runner-up Houston. Gonzaga back in the Sweet 16 after their streak ended last year. Belmont is a 12-5 upset over Arizona. I've got Ole Miss to the Elite 8 as a bit of an underdog run under Chris Beard. Creighton's a hard team to pick. I think their defense takes a big step back without Ryan Kalkbrenner, but their offense might be able to get them through to the Sweet 16 once again. And then finally, in the Final 4, I've got Purdue taking down Bama and UConn beating Oregon for a 1-seed championship and a rematch of the championship 2 years ago. And once again, it is UConn who is your preseason national champion, winning their 3rd title in 4 years and beating Purdue for the 2nd time in 3 years. Thank you for watching. Comment below what your picks are, what you liked, what you didn't like, and we'll see what happens this year. Excited for the season to tip off tomorrow.